this is new information tonight on Multnomah County's planned Deflection Center, slated to open on September 1st. Tonight, a nearly 60-page document is revealing how much security will be on site, what guards will respond to it, who they'll call in an emergency. Katu's Christina Giardinelli dug into the document today, talked to neighbors about it as well. She joins us live in Southeast Portland with the story. Christina, do people feel like this is enough now?
Steve, I'm at Escuela Vida Preschool right now, and it's just down the street from where the center will be opening in a few weeks. Now, the lawyer for this school says the security plan in that document you just mentioned doesn't amount to much. You might remember earlier this week I reported that that same lawyer sent a letter to the county threatening legal action if the county doesn't delay the center's opening. A vacant warehouse in the Buckman neighborhood is slated to open its doors on September 1st to people who choose to come there to avoid arrest for drug possession. Escuela Viva, a nearby preschool, is threatening legal action if the opening isn't delayed. The school wants a detailed plan for how the county will deal with safety concerns. Ryan Yambra, a spokesperson for the county, says a new 57-page draft proposal answers those questions.
The security plan involves about about $740,000 in investments for 2 security guards for 10 months to patrol in and out of the Deflection Center.
Those guards will also patrol the area you see on this map, from 9th to 11th Avenue and from Oak to Pine Street. The preschool is right outside that perimeter. David Watnick is a lawyer for the school.
So the county is basically giving people a green light to come right here to outside the Escuela Viva property. If they engage in unlawful activity, the county is saying whatever undefined security presence it would have would not intervene.
Yambra says the security guards on site will also be able to call for backup through a security contract that the county already holds.
The current security contract for the Deflection Center is tapping into the existing security infrastructure that the county already has.
Can you respond to that concern of people being moved along in that perimeter, and what happens if they then get pushed outside of that perimeter to the surrounding businesses?
Well, part of it, you know, the fact is that the county, as part of its Good Neighbor Agreement, has outlined in writing that it will not leave the neighborhood in worse condition than they found it.
Now, Watnick is not satisfied with the plans, the security plans detailed in that document. The document will be reviewed by the county on the 20th, and then on the following Thursday, Yambra tells me, County Chair Jessica Vega Peterson will likely allow the commission to vote on a resolution that could pause the Deflection Center. Now, if you want to see a full interview with myself and the county on this topic, you can head to our website right now at Katu.com. For now, live in Southeast Portland, Christina Giardinelli, Katu News.
Christina, thank you.
I think the biggest thing I wanted to touch on today was some of the extra details that it provides on security. I know that was one of the big concerns, sort of the stuff around page 31. Can you talk a little bit about when that was added in? Was that a consideration that was made as a result of the lawsuit and the neighborhood's concerns?
No, because the lawsuit has not happened yet. A lawsuit has been mentioned, but the current security plan is what the security plan has been all along. And
sorry, I just want to specify. I meant as a result of the threat of lawsuit. And
I see. Okay.
Specify that.
Yeah. So the security plan that's in the draft deflection program is the security plan as it has been developed all along.
And then can you talk a little bit about what that involves?
The security plan involves about $740,000 in investments for 2 security guards for 10 months to patrol in and out of the Deflection Center. There's a perimeter around the Deflection Center that the security guards will be walking. There are also patrol vehicles that are associated with private security. And there is the ability for law enforcement to also intervene in the event of a serious incident.
So that perimeter, and I did see the map, it goes right up against the street that the school is on. So I think that's 11th East there, but it doesn't cover the grounds of the school. So I think one of the big concerns that I'm hearing from the lawyer there in the school as well is that that's going to be sort of pushing people outside of that perimeter. If security guards are moving people along, it will push them outside of that perimeter and, you know, maybe onto the school even.
The chair's office has been working with the neighborhood, including the preschool, to communicate about safety concerns, and the county's deflection center will be responsive to any specific security concerns that the neighborhood or Escuela Viva have. The good neighbor agreement that is being discussed includes a guarantee for a safe and orderly environment around the center. And there's also the ability for security guards to monitor behavior that's taking place within within eyesight of their perimeter to recommend further action or to get law enforcement to respond to anything that they witness.
And there's a portion of the plan that lays out, you know, when the security guards that are on site at the deflection center are able to call for extra help from the county's other security contract. Now, that's a contract that the county's had for some years, if I'm understanding that correctly. Is that right? The other contract that the county already has?
The contract with Intercon is a relatively new contract.
That's a security for the deflection center specifically.
Correct.
But the one that would patrol with vehicles, was that through an existing security contract that happened before the Intercon one, or?
It's part of the Intercon contract.
Okay, so 740 would also include patrol vehicles that would come at the request of the people who are there 24/7, or?
It comes out of, so the county has a much larger contract with Intercon that it serves all facilities. The contract allows for a maximum spend of about 40 million. So the current security contract for the deflection center is tapping into the existing security infrastructure that the county already has. The county has good relationships with Intercon and protocols that are already in place for when something is happening and further escalation is required. One example I would give you is Multnomah County's health department clinics, health department headquarters, where there is a security presence. There are on-site security who are working during all hours, but there are also patrol vehicles that security can dispatch if they need additional assistance.
So this is, again, relying on a contract that the county has already had for the $40 million contract, the same security company to come out if need be to help out in certain situations. I think one of the concerns that I'm hearing is there is a lot of May language. You know, they might rely on this, but who's to say when they would be able to come out or not? Is there any more detail on that?
There's never been an issue in which Multnomah County has been unable to access its security guards in the event of something unforeseen. So, you know, this is, if it's necessary, if it's needed, security will make contact with its headquarters and dispatch other security resources to the center. It's at the officer's discretion.
At the security officer's discretion. Yeah. And so in the plan, it also lays out what would happen if a resident in the area calls the deflection center and says, hey, there's someone here in the neighborhood that's causing some problems. It sounds like that's what would happen. Those folks, the security there on site, would then call the patrol vehicles, because the only thing that those two security people can do is patrol the immediate perimeter of the deflection center, right? Walk around it and be on site there.
Yeah, if the security guards determine that more assistance is needed to address the security issue, they will call in extra resources.
But the two people on site for the 740,000, they are on foot. They're on site, actually. They're not like in the neighborhood.
They're in the center and they're on the perimeter of the center.
Okay. So not that perimeter that's outlined in the map, or it is that one?
It is that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so the two people on site will be going around that perimeter. Okay, and they're moving people along if people are loitering in that perimeter. Can you respond to that concern of people being moved along in that perimeter, and what happens if they then get pushed outside of that perimeter to the surrounding businesses?
Well, part of it, you know, the fact is that the county, as part of its good neighbor agreement, has outlined in writing that it will not leave the neighborhood in worse condition than they found it. So the county is making sure, as part of its good neighbor agreement, that it will be held, you know, to account for what happens at the center and in the neighborhood around the center. That means that any security concerns that are a direct result of something taking place at the center, the county will address those directly. And again, we have to consider the population that's being served and the caseload. We're talking about people who are voluntarily opting into deflection. That doesn't mean that they're criminals. That just means that they have had an encounter and been deemed eligible for law enforcement, eligible for deflection.
I mean, voluntary, I feel like, is kind of a difficult word in this situation because it's either jail or the deflection center. So voluntary, yes, because they're choosing that instead of the jail, but they're also getting transported there in handcuffs. So I don't know if voluntary is like a super precise word in this situation, right? And I think that's the big concern, is that these are not necessarily people that are like, yeah, I want to go there of my own volition. It's like, yeah, no, I don't really want to go to jail, so I'm going to go here instead.
When somebody's picked up and they don't have any additional warrants or charges, that is a massive factor that really influences the clientele that will be at the deflection center. We're talking about people who are not violent at the time and are not carrying weapons. These are people who are going to the deflection center because of a treatment need. And the Oregon State Legislature intended it that way. This is to keep people out of the criminal justice system.
You know, one of the things that plan mentions is that security won't be able to interrupt criminal activity, and I think that's common practice. So what would be the standard there? Would they just call the police for any type of criminal activity? Do you know more about that?
If there's criminal activity, the people on site will call 911.
And then in terms of, you know, camping and things like that, there's sort of a gray, vague area. What if somebody is camping like right outside of that perimeter? Are they calling police and asking them to remove the camp, or are they just allowing that person to remain?
The county, in its good neighbor agreement that is being established currently, includes specific language about what the expectation is on camping. And the chair's office has stated to the neighborhood that camping will not be allowed on the perimeter or on property that the county owns.
Again, but the big concern is that if you're enforcing a perimeter and moving people along, if they're camping or loitering on that perimeter, then they just get pushed outside of the perimeter to the school and the neighboring businesses, and then they're camping there. And if the security is not asking them to move along, but they're also not calling police, this is not necessarily illegal. I mean, under some circumstances that the city is considering, it may or may not be, but that's a whole other ballgame, right? So what happens if somebody that's moved from the perimeter goes a little bit further to the school and camps right out there, for example?
Well, there's camping all over the city of Portland, and law enforcement and the city of Portland and the county are all in discussions about how to address that issue. And the county has stated in its Good Neighbor Agreement that it will commit to reducing the impact on the neighborhood. And that includes not just the perimeter, but the Buckman neighborhood and the central east side. So if there is a camping issue that is identified as a result of the deflection center, the next step would be to address that immediately.
I think, you know, a lot of people are concerned because the county and the city, et cetera, has not immediately been addressing concerns when it comes to camping and other safety concerns. And so when we're making these promises, I think a lot of people feel that it's a blank promise. It's not actually going to happen.
So for specific questions about how the city of Portland conducts its camping, sweeping, and how they refer people into shelter and services, I would defer to the city of Portland and the joint office.
Sure, I totally understand that. I think what people are saying though is that you're promising that this is not going to happen here and that this is not going to bring more people in that are camping in the area, but then they're not seeing a lot of how those promises will be delivered. So for example, with this new, a detail on the security patrols that they would be able to rely on through a contract that the county already has. Again, it's a contract that the county already has that people say hasn't really been enforced well at the other behavioral health center, for example, which did bring a lot of camping and loitering. So I guess people are really expecting this to look a lot similar to that.
The county certainly is not expecting an influx of camping around the deflection center, but they're prepared in the event that does happen.
And I guess that when you say they're prepared, people want to see how. And I don't know if this plan really lays that out. In your opinion, does it?
The county is meeting again with the Central East Side Industrial Council and the Buckman Community Association. And if people would like to share their concerns, they're certainly encouraged to. And the county will continue to collect that feedback and make a judgment. The chair's office has committed to working with them and reducing the impact that the deflection center would create on the community. And considering the amount of people that the center will be serving on a daily basis, the center is preparing to have close contact with everybody that comes through its doors.
How is this perimeter established? I looked at this map, but it goes a little bit further east than the actual building. Why is that?
I would have to put you in touch with a security expert to describe the logistics of that.
So the security company themselves came up with this perimeter?
What you see in the plan has been developed with a security lens, but also in consultation with members of Turk House and other experts from the county.
So why not just actually set aside a couple patrol vehicles from the security company that you already have a contract with to be dedicated to this area?
Well, it would have to depend on the circumstances, because in the event that security challenges are not needed, that's too much of a resource. So I think that what you see is the county's first attempt to address security concerns in its draft document that's currently under review by the board. And the county in its plan has stated it can scale up as needed. So if it's determined that there's a need for an increased presence, the county has the flexibility and the ability to scale up.
I think what I'm hearing a lot of from the neighbors is that, why should we trust you guys if this has not been delivered in other similar situations like the Behavioral Health Resource Center, which I think you mentioned last interview that you feel it's been cleaned up quite a bit. but there was a period of time where there were a lot of people loitering and camping around there and a lot of issues there. And so, people are looking at that and saying, how do we trust you that this is actually going to happen when we don't have anything in writing? We don't have an extra contract saying there will be patrol vehicles. Also, a lot of times when you respond to something that's already happening, it takes a lot more to get that to stop happening versus having those security people in place before it happens to avoid it happening in the first place. I don't know if that makes sense.
The security that is currently outlined in the plan is what has been deemed appropriate for the center's first few days of opening and beyond. The committee that has that includes law enforcement, the sheriff's office, the district attorney's office, and other partners have committed to reviewing the deflection plan every 30 days. In the event that there was a need to make adjustments, the committee has already established that they are willing to make those adjustments. So what I would say to you is that the committee who is leading this effort is responsive, they are listening, and they will make adjustments if the conditions require it.
Yeah, and so that's a promise, right? And that's what the people are saying is, why should we trust that you'll fulfill this promise? Why not deliver beforehand with saying we'll have these security patrol vehicles ready to go on site, etc.
Well, the county will continue to work with the neighbors to ensure that they reach an agreement that assures them that the center that opens up is one that meets the needs of the community.
How long does a good neighborhood agreement usually take to put into place?
It depends. There are some that have taken weeks. Fortunately, the county has worked in advance of the September 1 opening to get that conversation started. There's already a commitment to a framework on September 1st, and the chair's office is going to continue to work with the community to get that moving ASAP.
Anything else you want to add that we didn't cover?
The current plan that has been produced is a draft plan that the Board of County Commissioners will review and have a chance to make suggestions and feedback on. And by August 20th, there will be a briefing at the Multnomah County boardroom for commissioners to, a virtual briefing for the county commissioners to hear more and to have their questions and concerns addressed.
Will commissioners have to vote on this for it to be approved, or is this already happening regardless of what commissioners want?
I'm expecting that the chair's office is going to create an opportunity for the board to weigh in on that.
Weigh in with a vote?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And if for whatever reason it is voted down, does the deflection program start from zero? How does that work if they vote it down?
What would happen is that the chair's office and members of the deflection committee and the county would continue to work towards a deflection center and program that works for everyone in Multnomah County. And keep in mind that the deflection services are not just the deflection center. There are also other parts of the continuum of care, including mobile outreach. The Multnomah County has, and then the PATH team, the Promoting Access to Hope team, which is a mobile team, and you have Portland Street Response, and you also have Project Respond, which are all mobile services that are delivered to people in who are needing access to services and treatment. So it's not just about the Deflection Center, it's also about the other system components that already exist and are continuing to be built to create a full array of services that complement the Deflection Center.
So I think it's kind of a yes or no question, right? If they vote no to proceed with the Deflection Center, does it get stopped or does it move forward? The county already has a contract with a provider. It kind of sounds like this is moving forward regardless of the vote.
If the board decides to make a decision on the Deflection Center that would change the timeline, more would be announced after that time.
So essentially Sharon Myron's draft proposal, if that were to get voted in, that would potentially change the timeline. But in terms of actually voting no on this deflection program that's being proposed to the commissioners on the 20th, if they vote no, what happens?
Well, so the event on the 20th is a briefing specifically. And so what is happening right now is that the board is reviewing the document closely and going over it with a fine-tooth comb and making suggestions and feedback. The board will submit their questions and feedback on the 18th, by the 18th, and then on the 20th, there will be a board briefing on the contents of the plan and for experts to answer questions about the plan. There's also a proposed resolution that Commissioner Myron's office has put forward that if it makes it onto the board agenda, it will be something that the board can vote up or down on.
But you had mentioned that the chair would likely give the entire board of commissioners an opportunity to weigh in on this plan. And when I asked you if that were through a vote, you said yes. So it sounds like they will vote on this plan. If they vote no on this plan, what happens next?
So the contents of Commissioner Myron's proposal call for a 90-day pause.
But that's a different.
Yeah, and that is the what I'm talking about is that would be the opportunity for commissioners to vote on.
Okay, so you're saying once this is proposed, this plan, then Sharon Myron's proposed resolution would also get considered, and that would be the opportunity to vote on next step.
Correct.
Okay, but you don't know for a fact that her resolution will be presented that day.
It will not. It would not be on the 20th because that's just a briefing. It would have to be on a Thursday.
Okay. Okay. Well, I appreciate that timeline, and I appreciate you taking the time again to give us all this information. I'm sure the neighborhood also really appreciates it to, have that information beforehand, before the meeting. So thanks so much. Anything else that we should know about or add on to this?
No, thank you for your time, and looking forward to answering your questions as they come in.